Hey, Travis, did you ever have an opportunity to get me that phone number on Nicholas?
Yes, sir. I thought I emailed it to you. I'll check back and send it back to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, Brad.
Frazier, Frazier, Frazier. That's a nice left hand you got there. That's real good. Yeah, hello.
Chairman Hill, everything is good to go in here, I do believe, as long as everybody can hear us.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Sounds good on my end. It appears it's 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get this budget committee meeting started for November 9th, 2020. We are holding this meeting by Zoom due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. This meeting is being held electronically to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. So Go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Mr. Campbell,
Here.
Ms. Woodby,
Here.
Mr. Von Cannon,
Present.
Mr. James,
Here.
Mr. Garland,
I'm here.
Mr. Hill, I'm here, Mr. Frazier,
Here.
and Ms. McCamey.
Here.
All members are present. Before we adopt the agenda, I need to amend the agenda. Before finance department update, we'll add circuit court copier lease. If you'll add that on your agendas, and I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve. Aaron Frazier, 7th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Garland. Any discussion?
Travis, I will say this, Mr. Chair. I talked to Susie earlier. She just said when we send votes in, just kind of either you kind of respond back who it was or whatever. Same way with nominating, just so she knows.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, second by Mr. Garland. No further discussion. I'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yeah.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. All yes. Next on the agenda is review and approve the minutes from the October 12th, 2020 meeting.
So
Motion to
moved.
approve.
Motion by Ms. Woodby,
Second. Aaron Frazier, 7th.
second by Mr. Frazier. Any discussion, additions, deletions? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Aye.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. All yeses. Agenda is public comment. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to comment?
May have to unmute some people, Travis, so bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
I don't see anyone outside of commission or other county or city employees, sir.
Okay, sounds good. We'll close down public comment. Next, we'll move on to old business. First item is discussion of the 2021 planning budget. I took it upon myself to try to get in touch with Mr. Burke and Mr. Schutler. It's not really worked out for any of us, but I've talked to both of them. The best that I can figure of what I've understood about it, Mr. Schutler sent out all the budgets from the past. And it looks like over the past 20 years that the remittance for electrical permits has been in their budget. From what I'm gathering this year, we took those remittance fees out, but we didn't remove the revenue on the revenue side. Now we've increased some things with some raises and some other items, expenses in his budget, which have basically offset that revenue. So basically, if we'd have took the remittance revenue out, the remittance expense out, we've been at zero. We increased those expenses. Now we have to increase the revenues. Is that correct, Mr. Burke?
Brad, you're muted.
Sorry about that. The revenues were taken out of the budget for 2021. And like you said, Mr. Chairman, the associated expenditures should have been taken out too, which they were technically taken out of the budget, but that total was just moved around to other line items within the planning budget.
So we would have had to increase the revenues to offset those expenses. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. That's where it stands currently.
Okay. Mr. Schuler, are you on here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you have anything you would like to add?
No, the question was at the last meeting, that we didn't hold that money in there. And, that's why I provided you all with that information. And, we're still bringing the revenue in, through the building permits and what additional revenue that we did bring in at the time. So it's there.
Right, okay. Anybody else like to get in on the discussion? The floor is open.
Travis,
Go ahead, Mr. James.
I'd just like to, if we could do this way, I'd like to put this in the form of a motion that we approve the planning's budget. That way, before we open actual discussion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. James to go ahead and approve the budget. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. McCamey. Discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Burke.
I'd like to respond to Mr. Schuler's comments.
Okay, go ahead.
The only revenue that is in the budget is building permits. And like I've stated previously, that is a general revenue, which goes into a general fund to fund the entire general fund's operations. The same as fees and commissions collected by the circuit court clerk, trustee commissions, county clerk fee and commissions. That's not directed, not restricted to one particular office, just as those other fees aren't.
And I agree with that. Also, there is additional fees that still come in for the electrical permits too, Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
Thank you
Chair,
both.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Last year, that was a total of around $2,000.
So, Chairman Hill,
Yes, Ms. Woodby, go ahead.
the money that was moved throughout the planning budget, where should that money have been? It should have been removed from the budget. Is that my understanding?
Brad, do you want to address that?
I'm sorry. Yes, that's correct. I mean, otherwise, the budget is increasing. I mean, the total may not show an increase, but in essence, there is an increase in the budget.
Director Burke, Commissioner James, I just have a question. Because I can't recall without pulling out my budget packet and looking. Did we have an increase in the animal shelters budget this past year too?
We did.
What was that amount?
I don't know right off. Give me a minute to look it up. Okay, the 2019-20 budget for the animal shelter was $420,416.70. The budget for 2021 is $439,767.70, an increase of $19,351.
Okay, and that $19,000, is that including the offset for the TCRS?
It is.
So what is it if we back TCRS out?
Looks like it would be approximately $10,000.
Okay, so their request was $19,000 more before the allocation come out for the TCRS, right?
That's correct.
Okay. A point that I'm getting to on this is I understand where Director Burke's coming with this budget, but if we take out roughly the $17,000 or $18,000 that we know there's for the line items for that were given for essentially their certifications, we're at roughly $39,000. So we're a little less than $20,000 per year, because if you remember in the last year's budget cycle, their department did not get an increase. So if we would have gave him the increase the year before and give the increase this year, we're actually on track to stay acceptable with the animal shelter, or probably some of the other line items. We all know how landfill went, or some of the other line items. So, I mean, I don't think it's a complete absurd budget. You know, I'm now going forward in the future, maybe we try to make sure it goes through the right channels before it gets to the budgetary process. But you know, myself, I don't feel like it's absurd when you look at the fact that there wasn't nothing the year before either. So, but that's my opinion.
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry, Director Burke.
the savings on the TCRS is recognized in the planning budget as well. It's around $9,000-$10,000 too. So that, you know, if comparing that with animal shelter, you need to add that to the 56,000, 52,000, whatever it was in the planning budget. And there were raises given last year to all county employees, 3.5%.
Last year. Last budget cycle. 1920, not the one we just approved.
I'm just going to make a brief statement about this. We're into November, and this is the second year since I've been on budget committee that there's been issues with the plan and budget. And I really want to impress on Chris and that department to start going through the proper channels with the budget committee and the budget process and the finance department to quit putting us in this bind. We're ending the year and we're in November, and we still can't get the numbers crunched and do the research on it because stuff's changing so much. And I'm just not impressed with it being November and us still having to deal with this budget. It's not fair to the taxpayers at all. The proper channels need to be followed by all office holders, and that is bottom line. There's nobody different from any. This process should be followed by everybody. And so far, everybody submits and does like they're required. And this year we got off track again, and now we are in November trying to figure this budget out. It's just, it's not right. It's not right.
Miss Woodby.
Yes.
We have tried our best to meet and conform. Now, we do have a special commission, the planning commission, and I do have to take that stuff back. I understand what you're saying, and I'm attempting my best to keep it above board and work through. I'm sorry you're all having this problem with this.
I know you are, Chris, and I know we had this same discussion last year's budget, but it's a reoccurring issue, and I can't seem to understand why it gets so off track with all the other departments' budgets that we deal with, animal shelter, circuit court clerk. They're operating with some huge budgets, and we seem to get those through just fine. So we got to figure this out for the future, and that means working with the finance department, the budget committee, the planning commission. We all have to work together to get these budgets on track. We're only hurting the taxpayers in the county when we can't figure this stuff out, and it just makes it look bad on the process. That's my opinion.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call the roll. This is to approve the planning budget. Mr. Campbell.
No.
Mr. Campbell, no. Miss Woodby.
No.
Miss Woodby, no. Mr. Von Cannon.
No.
Mr. Von Cannon, no. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
No.
Mr. Frazier, no. Miss McCamey.
Yes.
Miss McCamey, yes. That's a tie.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Schuler.
Since that's already been passed once by your committee, doesn't it take 2/3?
I believe that is correct. I believe we did pass this last month. We were just gonna work out the details for the full commission to vote on. I think that's the only reason we sent it back to budget.
I think it was sent back because it was discussed that it was never in our budget past the last couple of years, and that's why we brought that back, and I gave you that information, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
You still there, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Chris, I have no problem with this budget, but it seems like I agree with, the mayor. It seems like every time that we start to approve this thing during the Budget and Finance Committee, it's not only the first time it's happened. It's happened several different times. It's not good business.
Well, I agree with you. It's not good business. Maybe when I retire, everything will be back to normal for people. I don't know, Willie, but thank you.
Attorney Harden, I'm not sure what to do in this spot. Can you give me some advice on this?
Yeah, nothing has to pass in a committee by 2/3 vote. Committees just make recommendations to the full body. So that's not true. It was sent back to this committee by a vote of the full commission. So you all can still come out with a recommendation by simple majority, but you can't have a tie. If you got a tie, you got nothing. So, if you're deadlocked in a tie, you can present it to full commission and say that simply, the budget committee worked on it as they were assigned to, and you all couldn't reach a decision for any recommendation.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Harden. That will be the recommendation coming from budget. We'll send it back to the full body for discussion on the floor.
Chairman Hill, can I make a comment again? I'm sorry.
Yes.
And
Yes, Ms. Wood.
I just want to clarify the reason I changed my vote from previous budget to this budget is I done a little bit more homework on this. I did not understand the remittance and the revenue as good as I should have, and I've done quite a bit of research on it. And I personally feel, and Chris, this is nothing aimed at you or your department, that the budget should be set as the same as I made the motion to pass before. It should be set at the 1920 budget minus the non-payroll budget should be set at the 1920 budget minus the salaries. That is what I think should happen, just to be fair across the board to all departments and the way this has come to us in November. I mean, we have to address this when it should be addressed. It's not fair to continue to address it in November when everybody else has got their budget set. And so if that is a negative, then that's a negative for not following the rules for the way the budget should be presented to financial management or to budget committee, to planning commission. Maybe that recommendation should get everybody on board to start doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Woodby. Anybody else like to make a comment before we move on?
Yes, Chairman, I'd like to add a little input on that.
Go ahead, Mr. James, you have the floor.
Well, I understand this is a little unorthodox and it is what it is, but at a point in time in life, we have to put behind us and move forward, and we've had an off year, none to our fault. It was is what it is. So I feel the best process is moving forward and quit fighting on this another month. And although that I understand where Ms. Woodby's coming from on this subject and the issues that we're having with it, I'd also like to point out that this budget committee, well, the previous one, not this new one, but the entire full commission has also approved increases in multiple budgets this previous year, including the year before. While we set the planning budget to the previous year, and then we're wanting to set it to the previous year now. So at some point in time, it's going to have to give to the point where it does have an increase. And as the aspect to the employees, I do understand, but in the defense of Mr. Cook that works in the planning department, you're also making him and the other employees bear the brunt of it while he's putting the time into getting his certifications and everything that's needed to do building inspections, which is generating us a quite hefty revenue that actually it's up to the planning department if they even charge for the permit. So they could decide to cut that revenue out at any time. So I think it's something we're needing to weigh on a little heavily and try to get fixed before we keep pushing this rope down the road, I guess.
I completely agree with you, Commissioner James. And I just want to say, I think the planning department has great employees. I want to help them 100%. But it's also, the whole county has great employees, and it's just, it's kind of a, we're in November trying to fix their budget, and, everybody else followed the rules to an extent. And that's just the point I'm trying to make with my statements.
Well, I understand, but I'm just getting that we're going to have to fix it. We are in November. We start the budget process again in January.
Correct.
So at what point in time does Director Burke cut him off and quit letting him spend out of the line items that we've allocated him to spend? Because you can't just say, well, you can't pay that bill. I mean, he's anticipating the money there when he goes to pay it. So, that's something that's on there. And I'd also like to point out that Director Schuler had hired a new secretary with, I believe, the intentions of thinking that she might come in and get that additional money, because his secretary was the lowest paid employee, I'm pretty sure, in the county. And so now she's on the edge of whether she's going to get the money that she was thinking that she was going to get when she come in. So, but that's all.
Okay, no further discussion. We'll move on to the next item, which is discussion on allocation of the $52,500 among the volunteer fire departments. Most of you should have got a letter I sent out today from the Volunteer Fire Association requesting that this money be distributed equally.
Yeah, Chairman Hill, I'd put that in the form of a motion that we divide it equally amongst the 7 fire departments with a recommendation.
I'll second it.
I'm just taking some notes. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. James, second by Mr. Frazier for an equal split of the funds between all 7 volunteer fire departments. Any discussion?
Attorney Harden, for you, does this have to go back for a full commission for approval, since we done approved the money last month and they just sent it back to us to divide it out?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I know
Okay.
they sent it back to you to make these decisions, but just to have the final vote on it, it's just a week away. So yes.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion?
I think Mr. Von Cannon is raising his hand.
Mr. Von Cannon, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's very a bad situation when the fire departments have to sell firecrackers to survive. That seems to go against the rules of firecrackers and fire go together, and that's how they've been basically raising their money. I would think, and I don't know now, I think you could sell firecrackers in the county, but not in the city.
I believe that's correct. Yes, sir.
I'd like to see them find some other means of funding rather than firecrackers, because they do start fires and cause a lot of injuries. But anyway, that's just my statement on this. Will help at least for 1 year.
I did the math correctly. That will be $7,500 per volunteer fire department.
Correct.
Any further discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. All yeses. Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is new business. First item is discussion regarding pay for county special call meeting. I guess since we're going to have a special call meeting, I'd like for all the commissioners to be paid. So Mr. Burke, what do we need to do? Do you have a tally on that, what we need to set aside?
Let's see. They'll get $100 a meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd say not to exceed 2,600.
Okay.
Make a motion that we take 2,600 out of general fund to pay for the special call meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Garland, second by Mr. Campbell to take 2,600 from the unassigned fund balance. Is that correct, Mr. Garland?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
This is one I think we should donate our time. We don't do that, and we should occasionally.
Any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
No.
Mr. Von Cannon, no. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
McCamey, yes. 7 yeses, 1 no. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda is discussion regarding pay for additional school board meetings. I was approached last month and asked about the school board members receiving additional pay for the meetings they have, that they're apparently only getting paid for 1 meeting a month. I believe that's correct. I think Dr. McAbee's online if he'd like to address that.
Yeah, I think, excuse me. It's my understanding that they make 100 per month, except for the chairman. I think who makes 125, and they get that whether they are present or not. So it's 100 a month, and anything, if there's any special called meetings and that type of thing, they do not receive any pay for that.
Thank you, Dr. McAbee. I know that the rules and bylaws discussed this other night. I think that it could come before both of us. They passed it 8-0, I believe what I heard was $50 per meeting, and if they didn't attend, they got 0. Can anybody confirm that?
That's correct, Travis. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what they've offered, and that was unanimous 8-0. So if anybody would, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we mirror what rules and bylaws has already passed at $50 per meeting, 0 if you don't attend.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, second by Mr. Campbell for $50 for each additional meeting and $0 if they do not attend. Any discussion?
Yeah, question, Chairman Hill. So they still get 100 for the regular meeting. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, they're apparently, like, I think right now they're having maybe like 3 or 4 special call meetings a month.
Okay.
And I think they're not getting paid for those, and I think they would like to get paid. So I
Okay.
told them I would bring it before the body to discuss for them, because we set their salary.
All right. And as far as the regular 100, if they don't attend the regular meeting, are they still getting paid for that one, or is that?
Dr. McAbee, can you answer that?
I mean, it's my understanding you're the funding body of what they get. It was also my understanding, as I tried to talk to folk, that I don't know if it's a policy or not that needs to be changed, but just historically, if they did not attend, they still get paid. So I don't know if that has to be something to come before the full commission for a vote to change that or not.
I believe ours is if you don't attend, you don't get paid. If you come and you leave early, I think you get the minimum. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Which is $35, I believe.
But I would like to see it follow along, on these special called. If they're not present, they don't get paid. I think if you're not present for a regular meeting, that you shouldn't be paid either.
Right. And I think that's what the rules and bylaws passing out was, if they don't attend, they don't get any of this money for special call. And I guess at some point later, we could address the normal monthly meeting on them.
All right. I'd like to see that if we could.
I think that should start back in rules and bylaws again, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Brad, do we need to go ahead and set some kind of money aside right now, or should we wait and do a budget amendment at the end of the year, or how should we just set a dollar amount right now?
We could wait. There's ample funds available in that line item.
Okay, so we just need to go ahead and pass the motions on the floor for $50 for if they attend and 0 if they don't attend. Okay.
I do believe like Dr. McAbee said, it may be a board policy. I'm not sure about that, but I've heard that it was.
Okay.
And it would have to be changed by Board of Education.
Is
Any,
that on,
go ahead.
would that be on the original one meeting a month? Since we're giving them additional funding for special call meetings, can we control that, whether they get paid or not? If they don't attend?
That'd be a good question.
Attorney
Well,
Harden?
if we don't approve the money.
Yeah, you all supply the funding. So, I mean, the way the statute reads, says the county legislative body sets the compensation for meetings and special call meetings of the school board. So theoretically, I guess you could decide what you wanted to do and fund that amount. And then if for whatever reason the school board doesn't want to follow that amount, then you could adjust the funding accordingly.
Thank you.
Mr. Hill, can I modify my motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Frazier.
How about we change it to $50 for each meeting beyond the second? Would you accept that, Willie?
Yeah.
Are you still going to do the zero after if they don't attend?
Correct.
Okay. So the new motion is $50 for every meeting after the first, $0 if they don't attend.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. All yeses. Next on the agenda is discussion regarding funding for Economic and Recreational Development Department. I believe this is Mr. Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I went back and ran through some of the numbers. Abby, can you give me share again, if you don't mind?
You should have it now.
Thank you. I went and did some digging and on the dollar amounts and stuff that I'd mentioned in the original one. What you're seeing here is the glass door projections for the minimum to maximum, including the average, for a economic development director, an incubator director, grant and proposal writer, and copywriter / marketing person. Minimum salaries in most of those categories is around 31 to 33K, and this is salary. This does not include total compensation. So these are the flat salaries. Average pay for a economic developer is around $106,000 a year. Incubator director, graphic designer, both of those come in at around 50 to 80,000 a year, depending. I think for the incubator director, it's between 33 and 66,000. Grant proposal writer is anywhere from 31 to 88,000. And a copywriter, which is essentially the guy that writes your advertising and works on your marketing plan, is somewhere between 33,000 and 111,000 a year. For all of those, whenever I was doing the projections, I set it up at the bare minimum and I think for the economic developer director, I set it at 65,000. I think the numbers on Glassdoor had changed. With the incubator director and graphic designer, I did leave it around 50K because that is a very specialized type of position. A grant and proposal writer, it ended around 31,000 to 33,000 is an entry-level position. And a copywriter, entry-level positions around 33,000, which left you with a total salary for all four positions at 185,000. And based on the information that Mr. Kennedy had sent me, which was around 15% for total compensation for basically everyone, was able to come up with total compensation, including benefits, at around 195.5. Is that about correct, Brad?
The payroll taxes, Social Security, and pensions, TCRS, and Medicare would be 15.65, and the medical insurance is right at 7,200 a year. Dental is 260.
Okay.
Life insurance is about 25.
Okay. So I did not have those numbers. Those weren't listed in the total compensation report that Michael sent me, Brad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So these numbers are off a little bit. Total salaries and including the 15% for payroll tax and that sort of thing is around 27,750 for everyone. And assuming they all take medical, one second. Second, we'll switch my share real quick.
You sit in on this too?
Not yet. We have not had a joint economic community development meeting yet. All right, here's the new one. I'm just gonna stick it in right here. So for a full year, it would be that baseline going by other departments and what they send out on office equipment and other things like that, come up with the remainder. And it comes out to around 22,757 per month. And I would like to see us at least get the department started with the remaining 7 months of the year by setting aside that 22,775 for the remaining 7 months. That way financial management and Mr. Burke's office can start trying to get the positions hired and filled. So at least an economic development plan can start getting formed and pushed forward in the county. When you look at what we're spending on the landfill, when you look at what we're spending on the animal shelter and different things like that, these are not going to be increasing costs. It would actually have remittance of fees for incubator participants, accelerator participants. So there would be fees that could be collected and would be collected into this department, as well as membership fees for makerspace and other things like that. But setting aside the 159,297 to finish out December through June of next year would at least allow everything to get started, and we would get a jump start. I mean, we've kind of kicked this can down the road for 2 years, because whenever we all came on this commission this last round, one of the things that everybody was interested in was getting someone set up for economic development, getting something started. I'm not saying this has to be the end all be all, and maybe not even all 4 positions get filled, but at least getting something started. We've got to get there's no listing of what even industries and businesses that we have in this county. No one's communicating with them. We have no idea if they have any needs or if they're getting ready to leave because they don't feel like they're getting any support. Travis Charlie's got his hand up.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Von Cannon.
I think I'm pretty well qualified to speak to this subject, having been in 40-some years, I guess now. This proposal would give you a top-notch recruiting vehicle. That I could say for sure. The thing it's lacking, though, is efficiency and effectiveness. Before you can entertain getting decent manufacturing jobs, and that's all I know about manufacturing, before you can entertain getting a manufacturer interested in looking at Carter County, you've got to have, and nobody's ever shown anything I've got because they don't want me here. Because of the looks of the building, but I didn't break out the glass, and amongst other things. But I've spent of my own money $2.2 million to bring jobs to Carter County. I'm through, done, complete. I say that, but I lied concerning the last one. I spent money that I didn't intend to spend. about 68,000. Here's what you've got to have on that, in addition to good staff, and he's outlined everything that he's done a great job in figuring out all the details. Where is the land to put a manufacturing operation in Carter County of any size? Where is the incentive to get them to even come here? Let me give you an example of what happened in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Well, let's go back to Smyrna. Let's forget about the General Motors debacle with Saturn. $7.2 million to train 2,300 people. You figure that out per job. That's $7.2 million just for the training. I know because I paid that bill from the state. 800 acres given to them. Who by? By Rutherford County and by 2 or 3 of the other surrounding counties in Middle Tennessee. The state of Tennessee's contribution was only training. From the standpoint of access roads, if you've been to Nissan, you see there's a big access road from 65 into the factory. That costs millions, plus cutting an exit on the interstate. Incentive, land, building, or infrastructure of roads and improvements of that sort. Let's go back to land. Where is it? Where is it other than for little small factories? And as I say, I don't know anything about anything except manufacturing. Where's the land? There is a great piece of land, Ross, up from the world of Oklahoma Road. You tell me, I can tell you that from the time Moses built the ark, or was it Noah? From the time Noah built the ark, everybody has tried to buy from the patents on Oklahoma Road. And now it's almost too late because they started to put housing in the land. That was the premier because they had some access basically to the interstate. And that's the other thing. The interstate we're okay on. We're not that far off the interstate to do good. We're only about 100 miles east of where we need to be though. Because 100 miles to the west in Knoxville and maybe another 100 miles on to Nashville, 78% of the population of the United States live within 500 miles of Nashville. Distribution, Amazon is there naturally. They figured that out. So it's not having staff and all, it's having other things that to show. They're not going to come in here and look at the mountains. So that brings another picture. If they do come to look at the mountains, what do? You go the other direction in trying to promote tourism. That's cheaper. And we've got, and I think maybe his data at one time showed a ton of housing available in the county. For example, with a little help, Doe River Gorge, any given night can house 600 people. Therefore, I think the cheaper way to go is to stay where we are with a regional approach. And I would have fought that 20 years ago to tooth and I would have fought it totally. But I can't do that today because I see that we don't have any land left. We've got great training facilities. But we're training the welders to go to Houston, Texas, where they can make a really good living welding in the oil fields and petrochemical industry. So bottom line, it's a lot of money. And you're not going to get much out of it. I was director of industrial recruitment for the state for Carter County, whether you knew that or not. For 3 years and 3 days, I can document 694 jobs. However, that included commercial, retail, a whole shooting match. And out of that, almost zero industry. That day is gone. Again, retail, where are you going to put them? You think about it. Where are you going to put the retail development in this county? So you're back to tourism. That's my statement, and I'm going to stick with that one.
Thank you, Mr. Von Cannon. One of the things that even the state of Tennessee has said, though, is that they have a difficult time showing anything in Carter County because there is no catalog of what is available. One of the duties of the Economic Development Board and Recreation Development Board would be to make sure that available property does get cataloged and can be shown to individual investors and individual businesses. We don't have anything like that now.
That's correct. You do not.
Go ahead.
I just had a couple questions too about it. And I may have missed them in when you was giving your spiel there. Who's these persons going to answer back to? Is there is what board or where's it? Who they going to work under?
In talking with Ken Googe, they are currently an executive board. As far as recreational development, they would transition to an advisory board in helping develop those sorts of things. And as far as the economic development, it's going to report back into the budget committee and the JECDB, the Joint Economic and Community Development Board. Those would be the two primary places I think that they would push back into, or financial management.
But who's going to be their direct boss? Who's going to give them marching orders?
It would be the director. It would be the Economic and Community Development Director.
Yes, but somebody has to be who's the economic community director's boss? Who is his direct boss to give him or her marching orders?
Who gives Mr. Burke his orders?
His board.
Right. So that would most likely come through the Parks and Rec and Joint Economic Community Development Boards.
Okay.
It's on two different fronts because you're not just doing economic development and you're not just doing recreational development.
Okay, well, refresh my memory because I'm a little stagnant on. We have so many boards and committees. What makes up the board, the Park and Recs and the Joint Economic Development?
Joint Economic Development Board is the mayor of Watauga, the mayor of Elizabethton, the mayor of Johnson City, one member of the public at large, or it may be from the education, which is Jerry Stout. It also has Chris Haichu, which I think is the Northeast State representative. There's also the mayor of Elizabethton, mayor of Carter County, and then two county commissioners.
And you've got someone.
Oh, and the industrial representative.
From manufacturing, and that just me. And I've been very, very displeased with the state of Tennessee.
Okay, and then what makes up the Park and Rec board? If you don't,
all the specifics on the Park and Rec board, I'm not sure at the moment. I know it's 4 public members at large. There's 1 member of the county commission, Ken Googe, and then like 2 other folks. I think City Parks and Rec has a seat on there as well.
Okay, and so who are we expecting to? Is the county footing the bill for this? Is that what you're suggesting, or?
The county would be footing the bill initially. I think Elizabethton is down to provide funding for it as well. I know City of Watauga doesn't really have any funding that they can kick to it. Johnson City doesn't really care one way or the other because they already have their own economic and development department.
Okay. Well, my one problem with it is answering to a board, the director answering to a board that's made up of multiple mayors when we're the ones that's funding the funding body. Now, whether anybody jumps on board or not, that may be so. I'm not for sure. But at the same point in time, they still have a help in the direction of what way this director's going, but yet we're paying for it.
I understand, and I understand where you're coming from, Austin, but I can't make the decision of what board that ultimately is going to report to. I'm just trying to put together the framework to get it started. Because, and I mean, if everybody decides they want it to go through financial management and financial management is the ultimate one to do it, that's fine. But we get to design that from the commission.
I'm just trying to lay this out here before we approve $159,000 or ever how much the total will be. And then we're sitting there a few months down the road going, now what do we do? So I just want to I want it completely ironed out before we get to that point. And, you know, you've done a great work trying to get to this point already. You know, it's not been easy. But I just want to get all the kinks ironed out and make sure. And some of this stuff I needed clarification on. So I knew what it was exactly, because we've got so many boards, it's hard to remember what's what. And
I don't intend on trying to create another board. I've spoken with the guys on the IDB as well, and I have a meeting with them next week. We were supposed to meet a couple weeks ago, but life got in the way for me. They're the bond board for the industrial side of things. I'm going to be showing all this information to them as well to see if they have any additional input onto it. But we've got a chicken and the egg situation. If there's no money there, then there's not any incentive to ever get the department created. But if the money is there, then you'll have the opportunity to create the department and get everything laid out to get it off the ground. But you're not going to know what that is until the money is there. I'm not saying that you should vote for it or not if you have any misgivings about it, but we've got to figure out where the starting point is. I don't care to start wherever.
I agree. I think that we need to get started on it and get something moving forward. I think, in my opinion, the first steps is
one other comment. Based upon the small amount of money you're needing to get it started, I would go to the Tennessee Valley Authority. For the big money, I would go to Appalachian Regional Commission and federal government. But in the meantime, call Tim Tidwell. Here's his phone number, because I've not had any luck with him. Maybe you can. Of TVA, 865-310-3629. And tell him what you've got in mind and see if the TVA will help you get started.
Well, the TVA is a partner for the Tennessee Economic and Community Development.
They are, and they are also, though, you give special grants.
Mm-hmm.
They paid, for example, on the spec building here that we had at one time, and that's something you got to have. You got to have something to show. A spec building or speculative building or a piece of land that's already been owned by the county and graded. Utilities present, the road present. Beyond that, then they expect that land free. This business of industrial recruiting is, in my opinion, a horrible thing. State competing against state, federal government encouraging it because they don't get involved in it per se, unless it's a huge company like Mercedes-Benz. The little ones are just, the small urban counties are out of the picture, basically. In anything other than 20 or 30 jobs in a small machine shop or something of that sort. Then you've got to be near the people that use it. The auto industry is not in East Tennessee. The auto industry is in Middle Tennessee, and that's where most of the growth in the Middle Tennessee has occurred, is suppliers to the auto industry. We have some suppliers here, one in Burgonsville or Rogersville, and I think it's just now phasing out possibly. Dana Corporation. our Spicer Gear division of the Dana Corporation, out of Marion, Indiana. These people won't near the factory. Why? Because it's not like they're going to buy a 6-month supply of gears. They are assembling those cars out of the back of a tractor trailer truck. That's called the Kanban system in Japan, and they originated it through Dr. Deming at the University of Tennessee. We sent an airman over there to tell them how to do it, and they've cleaned their plow with it. It's called just-in-time
manufacturing,
just-in-time delivery.
But I don't think that anybody's under the illusions that getting, Chrysler to come in here, build a plant needs to be one of the things we need to worry about. We do have the opportunity to get businesses in, that can have up to 500 employees if you're looking in the call center series, or if you're looking in some of the other places. But
well, we've got a problem.
Really,
We've got a problem here with people. And here's a problem I found. I had Stroh's Brewery in here from Orfield, Pennsylvania. And I had brought in Mayflower from North Carolina, and I had the Stroh's people with me, and we were sitting at a table, had already ordered. Some guy came hopping across the floor and pounded on the table where we were sitting and said, "We don't want anything in here that will cause our brethren to stumble." Meaning, if you got drunk on Stroh's beer, then that didn't. And the man is deceased now, but he was a minister, as I found out, at one of the local churches. So let me ask you this. How many phone calls did they ever answer that I called after that? Exactly 0. So I got my car and I drove to Orfield, Pennsylvania, and they said, "You don't want us." I said, "Well, that was one individual." They said, "Well, he had a church, apparently. He must have been a preacher." I said, "Yes, he was." He said, "Well, how many members is the church?" I said, "A couple hundred." He said, "No, you don't want us." So that's what happened with Stroh's Brewery. And they wanted to move. They had maxed out with capacity, but more importantly, they needed water. They were sucking sand with their pumps to get water to make the beer. We had the water.
Mr. Fraser.
Anyway, I'm through.
I just want you to know, I'm 100% behind this. I think this is something we need. What would hurt in sitting down with the city? I know former Chairman Lyons and Mr. Estes both had been working on something. With the fact that we have Zoom now, I think we could possibly have a joint meeting with them this month, possibly, to discuss this, get their input, talk about creating a board between possibly 4 councilmen and 4 chairmen or 4 commissioners to oversee this body, and talk about the budgeting of it and hiring of the directors of this.
Chairman Hill?
Yes, Ms. Fry.
I just want to let you know that the mayor and I started work on that today. We have got some tentative dates. We're running them by Pat Hardy with MTAS and Rick Hall with CTAS, who facilitated the last joint session between the county commission and the city council. And hopefully in the next day or two, we'll get a date nailed down. We're looking at either end of November or early December.
Sounds good. Thank you. I just feel like this would be this is going to benefit the city and benefit the county. So I think both sides should have input on this. But I'm just one member, so I'm just throwing my ideas out there.
Chairman Hill.
Go ahead, Ms. Woodby.
Yes, Abby and I have been working on that. It's going to be a workshop, kind of similar to what Mayor Burnett put together. Of course, it'll have to be Zoom. And I know Daniel Estes is on the line with us tonight. He and I met last week and had a good hour-and-a-half meeting. And the city is willing to really work with us. So I thought that workshop would kind of get a small agenda together to get some items out there that answer some questions on salary, location, everything that Aaron's doing, which I think is phenomenal. He's done an excellent job, and that's just would be a continuation of this. And another thing, have we allotted money for this already, Aaron, you know, or Brad?
There's $40,000 already set aside.
Okay, 40,000. But we're currently sending the emails out and trying to give the date, and then we're going to send them out to the commission to kind of nail down that date that's good for everybody.
I mean, I believe you all were talking about the old Chamber of Commerce building as being maybe a location for this position. Is that correct?
That is correct. But Aaron had mentioned to me today that he has a possible location. I did not know about that because I've been kind of bouncing around the county looking at everything. So he does have a possible location also, which may be very helpful. So that's another option, which is good. And I know Daniel's on here if he wants to kind of chime in briefly about what he thinks the city's willing to put forth towards this endeavor.
Sure, I can. Thank you, Mayor, Mr. Chairman. If I get my video on here. What I'd suggest would be that we, well, it's whatever the committee wants to do. If y'all are wanting to undertake, maybe you do a subcommittee of groups, subcommittee as a group to get together on this. I think that would be beneficial. I think sitting down talking about the scope of work that you want to undertake is going to be really handy. How fast are y'all wanting to move on this?
Well, I'm here talking about getting the money set aside now so we can
probably
start
yesterday, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Well, just think about it this way, just for context. You're talking, what was the round figure? Over $200,000?
For a full year, about 280,000.
Yeah. Well, for us, $27,000 a penny, that's a lot of money. So definitely very much interested in it, but I think, and I'll kind of echo some of what Mr. Von Cannon said about industrial recruitment. We've got our place there. We've got a niche I think we can find, but also I think maybe we need to think of non-traditional things if it's going to be tourism development or other things that may fit. If you're wanting to move fast, maybe y'all should recommend you need to pick, 3 or 4 people that could have a meeting with 3 or 4 on this side, or y'all designate somebody. And I've got a pretty good feel for, I think, where the council is. So, if you want to designate somebody and we can sit down and negotiate on it, I mean, we can, or if you want to sit down and say, hey, as far as economic development goes traditional, you've got the JECDB that's sitting there as a structure that's already in state statute. If y'all want to throw anything at me about it, I'll be happy to talk.
And I think where I started from this at, Mr. Estes, was the county currently has about $9 million sitting in fund balance, and it's just sitting there. At least trying to put a percentage of that to work for the county to get things started is the direction that I was coming from, because we've all talked about this for 2 years. And everybody was like, well, who's going to do the work? Well, I went out and did the work. I got everything started. I'm actually even taking all the classes necessary to do it as well.
You did a good job.
So it's the full proposal that I'd put up either last month or the month before included all recreational development. It also included Bryant Ridge. It included Hampton Watershed. It included focusing on businesses like off the grid, trying to finish the Tweetsie Trail from Roan Mountain all the way through Elizabethton. All of those things are included in the economic development, because we're not going to find 800, 900, 1,000 jobs from an 800-acre manufacturing facility. But if we can find 80 businesses that can come in here with 10 people a pop, that's 800.
Agreed. I guess where I'm going to commit that is, I think you can come at it 2 ways. You can have 14 things to work on and you'll see development a little along, or you can have a few things to work on and you can chase those very hard and intently and come at them and try to make those move quickly.
And over time that would happen, but we have nothing at the moment.
Well, and I'll
Wait a minute. You have nothing. I had 106 people working before the coronavirus. I don't know what I'll have when it's over. I know what I'll have is an empty wallet for sure, but I don't give up. And neither should you. This is a good effort, but you're gonna have to have some money, folks. Go back and figure what $7.2 million into 2,300 employees, and you will know what it takes to get an employee.
$3,130.43.
That's cheap, because I spent
Mr. Chairman.
$68,000 to get three.
Yes, sir, Mr. Estes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to say one other thing, and it kind of reminded me of what Mayor Woodby and I talked about. And one thing kind of came out of the conversation, not even the substance of what we were talking about. It's that, I think we really need to find channels of communication where the opportunities are going to be there for the city and the county to work together. I mean, I just happen to, like listen to this type of stuff. I get paid to do it. And I do it on the side. So I just popped in to see what was going on. So again, that was just kind of random luck on my part to be in the audience for the meeting. But I think we need to have channels of communication to understand where things are going and what people's appetites are, or what we do and where we go. I think that would be beneficial if we can find a way to move together at the same time. Because
I'll say right up here.
Yeah,
And I understand what you're saying.
Mr. Rockett, hold on just a second. Let Mr. Estes finish, please.
No,
Sorry,
that's fine. I'm
I
good.
apologize.
You're fine. Go ahead.
But the objective of this is to give that single point of contact to where the city and the county can communicate together and they can work on projects. I mean, currently you would contact the mayor, who would then contact the commission, who would then proceed on from there. You can't wait in some of these proposal positions. You can't wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks to be able to reply if someone sends you a request for proposal for a business. They generally have a very short lifespan on it. But
Agreed. And I can tell you that we do that already at the city with, of course, we ended up taking it up. And that wasn't my point about this job. My point was, if you want us to work with you, work with us. Have a communication with us as you're building a plan. Because if I don't want y'all to walk away disappointed if you have a plan that you fully form and finish out that is in the vision of the county, perfect, absolutely, particularly perfect. And there's something in there that we have to part ways on and somebody walks away disappointed. Where if we had communicated in the midst of it, if you want it, you want us to be a partner with you on it, have channels of communication to build that plan together. That's what I mean. Not about the issue about the point person. You got to have full-time staff to do it. Absolutely. So,
Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. James.
If I might, I would like to put this in a form of a motion that we recommend this to financial management and then maybe onto a joint city and county meeting. I get what we're doing here and I like the conversation, but I feel like this is getting a little bit out of budget's wheelhouse. We're here to decide money. And so I feel like financial management's a better place to put this and let them take it up to move forward in what way they see fit.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. James. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Garland. Any discussion?
Commissioner James, we are already trying to do the joint workshop with council and commission. Is that something you just want financial management to play into, or how?
I think that it would be better if we send this to financial management for this coming month and then do the joint joint meeting after that. Because I feel like we're getting a little bit out of our context because we're just mainly budget and there's so much on here we're trying to discuss. And I feel financial management might probably just be a little better place to put it. And as we done the last meeting last time, and I believe you was there, Commissioner Woodby, Mayor Woodby, there's just so many of us and not that many of the city. It's hard we have to essentially pick one from each thing. So I think it's better if we defer it off to financial management and them kind of direct us in what way they feel we should go with it. And I still want to have the joint meeting with the city. Just maybe let the financial management try to lay the groundwork a little bit more, what they're looking for on the county side of it for policies and procedures and things of that nature.
Mr. James, I'm not sure that it wouldn't be a good idea to go ahead and have the meeting with the city to hear what their thoughts are and which way they want to go, and then send that to financial management in December.
We could do that, and then we could also have financial management meet, and then Mayor Woodby can get with Estes there and maybe set a secondary joint meeting up after financial management's had time to discuss what had happened at the meeting. And that way, we've got groundwork already to start kind of bouncing back and forth between each other. So we're not, just stalling back and forth. If we go ahead and start laying the groundwork for the meetings now, maybe we'll keep this moving and not let it just die.
No, I don't want to let it die.
Well, I think that might be the best thing is maybe like Commissioner Hill recommended is let's go and have the joint meeting, and then let's go ahead and send it to financial management. And then maybe you can work on with Estes about getting a joint meeting set up for next in December also, after we've had financial management and the first joint meeting, and see if we can't start working towards the middle ground here.
I think the dates that we're looking at for the first joint meeting would be after financial management in December anyways.
Oh, okay. Well then,
I don't know. I mean, Abby may remember the December dates. Abby, do you know them off the top of your head we were looking at?
It would have been the Tuesday and Thursday after the scheduled December meetings. I want to say the 15th and 17th, maybe.
I think that's correct.
Okay, well, I'm good with it going to financial management and then letting them deal with it towards the joint meeting. So
we have a lot of commissioners online. Does anybody want to weigh in on this?
So I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think out loud, and I talk when I think out loud. Just in discussion, I think you're correct, Austin, on what you're doing. But back to Aaron, he's basically here on the money. So I don't know if that's two separate budget.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, whatever, there's quite a few more of us on it. There's 7 more here on the governing body.
Right.
I mean, until we get the logistics worked out, then I don't feel like we've done this shooting match before where we don't get the logistics worked out, and then we talk about throwing money in it later. So what if we throw not enough at it, or we don't throw too much? Or, I mean, I feel like we need to get the groundwork finished, and then we'll set the money.
Well, I do feel like Aaron's done quite a bit of legwork on this, more than we've ever seen.
He has,
almost
but I mean,
200 hours.
we haven't had a chance to.
I feel like he's done quite a bit of legwork on it.
He has. He's done a great job, but I mean, we haven't had a chance to meet with the city yet and see how we can co-op with them and what expenses they're willing to share, and how. I mean, I feel like we're setting money aside for it. I mean, it's regardless. It's going to come out of general fund, so the money's there this month or next month or the next month. So I mean, I feel like just take the time and get all the logistics worked out and who's going to put what in and how it's going to fix before we just set a bunch of money aside and it not get spent for 6 months. So,
or devil's advocate, let's me say,
devil fits, but
do we set the money aside and then meet with the city and see what they're willing to put towards it? Of course, then that would go back to us.
Because as he pointed out,
if we're setting it aside, it's not going to go anywhere.
As he said, it's a penny for 22,000 for the city, or a penny for 27,000 for the city. And they're already spending almost $1 million annually on economic and recreational development.
Okay.
I feel like we need to set up a board of who's going to govern this person. I mean, they have to have somebody answer it. I think it should be made up of elected officials who control the money, not just average people on the street out here.
Travis, do you think the Joint Economic Development Board would be a good spot?
I mean, I think that's a solid start.
That's the best point, because you have all the constituents that have skin in the game already.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Johnson City, Elizabethton, Watauga, Carter County, et cetera, on down the line.
Yes, I understand that, but if we're going to do something for Carter County and the city of Elizabethton, then we need a board for the Carter County and the city of Elizabethton. I mean, the city of Johnson City is not going to pop up and stride and say, well, let's help out Carter County. I mean, why does the city of Johnson City not say, well, let's just take the business for ourselves? We've got a lot more land in industrial buildings and the opportunity to have them. So
Johnson City already does that, however, with the Borla building. It sits inside the Johnson City city limits and sits inside Carter County, along with all that property over there. So anything that we would do and develop on that end of the county, the water and sewer is going to have to come from Johnson City anyway.
The Borla property is your ace in the hole if you can get Alex Borla to work with you. I just got a contract from him that was in China to do some work for Borla, and tried for 6 years to get, and finally, evidently the price was right to come back.
Question on the motion.
Question on the motion. The motion is send it to financial management, and then they'll discuss that, and it'll go to the joint city-county meeting. Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. All yeses. Motion passed.
Let me say what a good job that Aaron has done. We've been through this several different times, but he's brought more years than that than I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years it's ever been brought up. And he's
Aaron,
on the right track.
Aaron, I'd like to point out, I don't by no shape or mean my belittling what you're doing. I think you're doing an excellent job and putting a lot of hard work into it.
Right.
I just want to make sure that we get all of it right when we do it, so we don't have no problems in the future.
Well, I've got over 200 hours into it right now. I'm only sleeping about 3 to 4 hours a night. So my efforts are coming to an end.
It was an impressive piece of work. Impressive.
Definitely shows.
Next item on the agenda, discussion regarding employee bonuses.
Oh, nobody else is doing it.
Are we deferring to the worksheet from last month?
Yes, sir. Everybody should have received a worksheet that was sent out last month with different amounts for bonuses for the employees. We know we couldn't afford to give a raise this year because we didn't know how the finances were going. We received some money through the CARES Act. I feel like this needs to be distributed out to our employees to show our gratitude for them coming to work every day and serving the citizens of our county.
Mr. Hill, do you care to refresh and update us the amounts there? I don't have it in front of me.
Mr. Burke, what are the amounts that are available right now?
I got it.
Beauty.
I think it was around 640 thousand, Aaron or Austin, but I don't have that in front of me.
Hang on a second, I'm trying to.
Oh, I'm meeting the amount for the bonuses.
Yeah, because I can't find the one for it from, oh, here it is.
Aaron, have you got that on your computer where you could share that on the screen?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Thank you, sir.
Hope this is the right one. Abby, I'm sorry.
All right, you should be good to go now.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the right one.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Burke.
Actually, the one that was sent out with this month's packet varies a little bit. Instead of, I added a couple of additional employees to each department
Okay,
to ensure that we didn't run short. And anything that's left over, we'll roll back into fund balance.
okay.
Can you give us, well, when we decide which one to pick, you can just give us the total, I guess.
Yeah, I've got the new one as of today. It looks like,
I didn't.
or as of November the 9th, yeah, today.
Can you shoot that around to us, if you guys? Because I don't think.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now, Austin, but I don't see it.
I don't think I got it either.
But as you can see, we've got different amounts figured in, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for every full-time employee, $250 up to $500 for every part-time employee. Again, I think we have about $600 and some $1,000 of the CARES Act money that we took back when we sought after the reimbursement of the salaries for the sheriff's department.
Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. James.
If I might, I would like to put into a form of a motion that we do $1,000 for full-time and $500 for part-time.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. James, second by Ms. Woodby, to give each employee $1,000, that is full-time employee, and $500 for each part-time employee.
I have to do certain things in this, don't I?
You do.
Friendly amendment.
You can offer it to Mr. James, Mr. Von Cannon.
Okay, friendly amendment. We have gotten in trouble before by giving bonuses on the front end. My amendment would be that the bonus is okay, but give it at the end of the fiscal year. Therefore, you've covered any problems
Travis.
that may have occurred during the year, like a bridge washing out or a school burning down or whatever.
Mr. Von Cannon, we've already received this money or are going to receive this money from the state. This is money.
In that case, forget it. I'm ready to vote yes.
Travis, just a second. Before we go any, Attorney
If it's a
Hart,
freebie with no real strings attached, get it.
is Joel Shaw here? Attorney Harden? I think he's still here.
Yes, he was.
Is he? Yeah. Okay, just for clarification purposes and all my titles, I seconded that motion, but I'm not real sure if I can.
It wouldn't affect, well.
Is this?
I don't know. It wouldn't affect you as the mayor.
I know, but.
You want to rescind your second, Patty,
Yeah,
and let somebody?
Let me just rescind my second for all.
Hold on just 1 second, Chairman. I also have another question. Nothing against you, Mayor Woodby, but now, will Mayor Woodby receive this since she has kind of essentially took a leave of absence from her other job? Since the elected officials won't get it and the employees will, how's that going to affect her?
Are you asking me?
I don't know.
Or Director Burke, either one.
Yeah, I don't know the logistics of how that's been working, but I mean, yeah, she is the mayor, and my understanding is she's drawn the salary of the mayor, and this wouldn't increase that salary. But as far as the other job, I don't know how that's been working.
Historically, it's just been non-county officials.
Okay, that's all. I was making sure, and this isn't affecting any of the schools, correct?
Correct.
Question.
I've got it.
What if in 2 weeks I go back to being as a county employee?
Good luck to you.
Just to clear the air.
I guess you better delay this for 2 weeks.
I think
I see how it's going, guys.
I feel like if
is this money from the CARES grant or the governor's grant?
Yes.
Governor's grant?
I think so. Just to confirm, this money is from the CARES grant. This was the reimbursement payment for, and it comes on the CARES grant.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Chairman, I'd also like to say I still need a second because Ms. Woodby had rescinded hers.
Yes.
I'll second it. Aaron Fraser, 7th.
Patty, I think if something doesn't work out, whichever way it goes, I think we could go back and adjust that.
Okay.
You
I
go
was
back to being
curious.
employed.
No biggie. Just wanted to make had our I's dotted and T's crossed when the time came.
Why don't you just make it easy and make this effective December 1, and that way the question will be settled.
Mr. Burke, what would be the new total under the 1,005, the 1,000 for full-time, 500 for part-time, the total for everyone?
It would be 315, 739, 25.
Mr. Berg, does that still leave you roughly 360,000 in the CARES grant? Or has that been committed to something else?
Leave 350.
350 left and not committed?
Correct.
Well, don't worry, Mr. Von Cannon. It'll get committed soon with this committee.
No.
About
Mr. James on here.
We have a motion by Mr. James, second by Mr. Frazier, 1,000 for per full-time employee, 500 for part-time employee. Any more discussion?
Quick question. I know, and December 1st made me think about it. I know we've done Christmas bonuses in the past. Is this kind of to basically, I won't say supplement that, but I guess kind of go before that? I mean, I don't know if we need to. What have we put in there in the past for as far as Christmas bonuses? Brad, if you're listening there.
500 and 250 at the most, I would think.
I believe that's what the most recent one was.
Pardon?
I believe that's what the most recent one was.
500 and 250.
Or it may have been 350 and 150, Brad. I can't remember.
250 and 150.
250 and 125. I don't know for sure. But
I think it was around $87,000, Ross. I think it was in just under 100,000.
Yeah.
Whatever it totaled out to be.
Okay.
In a second, let it go.
Yeah. Well, basically, I was just trying to think if we could get a little bit extra as far as for Christmas bonus to come in there, but that's.
I mean, or Mr. Garland, if you've got that paper, I mean, you can look what it would cost additional if you wanted to add another amount on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, if they take a friendly amendment anyway to go $12.50 for full time, $7.50 for part time.
Ross, you know me. I mean, apparently, as Mayor Woodby says, I'm always up for spending money, so I guess I'll accept that.
So
No problem. Like I said, we'll spend this money.
Well, I mean, it is coming. It is that CARES Act money that we can use. So just throwing that out there.
Change it
Well,
up to
I'd
1250 and 750.
Much rather see it go in the employee pocket money.
Director Burke, though, one question about this, though. Is there any way that the Christmas money can go, the money we're setting aside for Christmas bonus can go ahead and be dispersed? Because if we're not making this effective till December 1st, this money's not going to roll out until 2 weeks into that pay period, right? So we're going to be through the middle of December.
Correct.
Can we beat Black Friday with this, Brad?
Can't hear it.
That'd be a good time.
I think it'd really be pushing it to get it out because we're not going to pass it before full commission until the 16th.
I think it'd make it hard on the finance department.
It wouldn't work because next week from Friday is the next actual pay date.
Well, I tried.
Well, let's just hope they got credit cards and they know it's a coming.
Amen.
Hey, Ross, are you wanting to keep it basically half of what full-time gets, or you want to up that part-time a little higher than half?
Well, I mean, it's what is it, 1,500 right now, isn't it? And then
yeah,
250, 125. I mean, basically just 50% again, half.
So 1,250 and 625. I mean, you just
what I say, 750.
750.
Yeah, that was the wrong number. Yeah, 625. I'm sorry.
625. Is that good with?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And again as well. Yes, sir. That is good.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Got it 625 and 1250.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Abstain.
Campbell abstains. Ms. Woodby.
Abstain.
Ms. Woodby abstains. Mr. Von Cannon.
This time I will say yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill is a yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier is a yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. That's 6 yeses, 2 abstains. Motion passed.
Chair,
Yes, sir. Mr. Burke.
let me give you the new totals for that.
Okay.
Total for the general fund will be 314,219.06. Total for solid waste will be 22,257.19. Total for highway fund, 58,197.81. The grand total will be 394,674.06.
Thank you, Mr. Burke.
You're welcome.
I just want everybody to know that I know the employees will appreciate this, and we appreciate them for the hard work that they do for us.
Appreciate it.
God bless them.
On behalf of my fellow employees, thank you.
Chairman Hill, can I request a recess?
Yes, sir. Let's take a 10-minute recess. Come back at 7:40.
Got 9 for us.
Everybody mute your mics, please. Okay, it's 7:40. We'll go ahead and call this meeting back to order. Did anybody have any more discussion before we move on to the next item?
Well, I guess, Travis, I don't know if this might be a question for Brad. If I know in the bonuses, in the past Christmas bonuses, that did we include school paraprofessionals in that normally when we sent this bonus out? If he's on.
I think he's on mute. He's trying to get unmuted, it looks like.
Okay. It was one time, and I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but another time or two, it was just county employees only.
Okay.
They have given Christmas bonuses over the last several years, every year. I'm not sure what their intentions are this year.
Okay, but that basically comes from the school board on to us, right? Okay. All righty. That's fine then. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the discussion regarding animal shelter request to move the current animal control budget to the animal shelter budget with the addition of 2 animal control officers, approximate additional request of $50,000. And I will turn the floor over to Dr. Acuff.
Thank you, Chairman Hill. Thank you all for putting this on your agenda tonight. You may recall that the last 3 or 4 months, the Sheriff's Department has been unable to provide animal control officers. Last week, the Animal Shelter Board, along with the city manager, as well as Chief Parrish, had a roundtable discussion regarding this particular issue. And Chief indicated that with their current employee situation, that it would be almost impossible for them to get that service. So out of that workshop, I think we all came to the agreement that we need to be looking at another way for animal control to occur. And I think at the end of the day, that discussion was that we would move animal control back to the shelter. It will take us a couple of months to do that. Chief said that as far as he was concerned, they would support the effort until the first of the year. But we do need to start moving in that direction. I think there is, and Director Burke will know how much money's left in the ACO budget in the sheriff's office. Something, Chief thought it was around $23,000 and some change. It may be more. But we are also asking for $50,000 to take us through the 6 months of getting animal control officers advertised, trained, et cetera. And right now, because of COVID-19, I understand from Shannon that the training is on hiatus until we get out of this period of contagion. So we're just coming to ask for you all to consider that this evening and allow us to start moving forward. I still see that City Manager Estes is still on. He was in the room, as I indicated, and also said that they would consider from the city helping us with part of that budget. I spoke to Kim Birchfield and Mike Simmerly today, city councilmen, who are a part of the Animal Shelter Board, and I think they were trying to get it on this Thursday's November commission meeting, or definitely by December's commission meeting.
Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. James.
I guess this might be for Dr. Acuff, Commissioner Acuff. How much is the city? What are they talking about? Are they willing? Is it's additional to the 50, or is it how?
It would probably help us supplement, so it would be less than 50 to the county, we would think. But that's a budget issue that they're going to have to dwell over. As I think City Manager Estes indicated, they just don't have any money laying around down there to throw our way currently, but they're going to try to work on it and see if they can't support us in this effort.
Chairman Hill.
Yes, sir, Ms. Woodby. Yes,
I
ma'am.
attended the workshop with Dr. Acuff and the group, and I the service is really needed. And the way I look at it is, if we're going to provide a service to the citizens, we either provide it at 100% or we don't provide it at all. We're kind of playing hit or miss with people calling in about dogs need to be removed from properties. I think there was a couple of instances, and Shannon may be on, where someone was actually bitten and had to have a rabies shot. So in my eyes, it's either we're in or we're out. And I think we need to be in. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in a form of a motion to move the current animal control budget from the sheriff's department to the animal shelter budget for an additional 2 animal control officers, and to approve the additional request of $50,000 for this service to the citizens of our county.
We have a motion by Ms. Woodby to move the animal control budget from the sheriff's department to the animal shelter, and an additional $50,000 for 2 employees.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. McCamey. Discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Von Cannon.
What is the city presently paying toward this operation?
I believe that's $125,000 a year plus 50% of capital expenditures.
And what is the county's obligation?
About $300,000, Mr. Burke.
I'm told that the preponderance of the calls concerning animal pickups are from the city as opposed to the county. If it's 40%, then the city ought to be paying 40%. If it's 50%, the city ought to be paying a proportionate amount of money. So what is the pickup rate in the city versus the county?
Chairman Hill.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dr. Acuff.
That question was asked of Chief Parrish, and Chief Shaw was in the room as well. There's no way through 911 that they can monitor those calls if it was an animal control issue, or in being able to assign them to city or county. I don't think I'm wrong in that. Mayor Woodby was there. She may want to comment on that. Shannon may want to comment on that as well, but there is no determinant of numbers at this point in time.
That's how I understood it also, Dr. Acuff.
I can chime in a little bit here because I spoke with 911 on animal control when I had some issues. And it does list the address that the call is coming. I mean, where the problem is existing. So it'd be real easy to figure that out if it was city or county.
Ms. Posada, do you have any further data on that?
So I did have the numbers run from 911, and they can divide them up between city and county. I think Chief Parrish gave us some numbers the other night, and I think that Mr. Shaw, Jason Shaw, gave us some numbers. And I think so far there's been around 400 calls in the city, and there's been, I can't remember the number for the county, but it's substantially more. I did have the numbers ran for, and I have it in my meeting notes. Give me just a second, and I have those here. For the city and the county per year. And it's substantially, I mean, the county is substantially higher than what the city is. But the calls from 911 are increasing as whether you want to relate it to COVID or whether you want to relate it to people being home or not being able to take care of their animals. You know, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that the calls is increasing. If you'll give me 1 second, I will give you the total that I have for the city.
Mr. Chairman, while she's looking for that, I was going to, again, sorry for nosing in, but the 400 or thereabouts was what Chief Shaw had quoted. And Chief Parrish with the Sheriff's Office had said the county's number was 3 to 4 times larger than the city's number. So if you take that as a percentage, our 1 and then 3 for the county, that makes the city at most 25%. And if it's 1 plus 4 times as big for the county, that makes the city 20%. So you're talking 20 to 25%. Of course, that's not a firm number. That was just an estimate that Chief Parrish threw out at the animal shelter meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Estes.
Again, sorry for the interruption, but thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for.
Chairman, I also have another question about that too.
Yes, sir, Mr. James.
Where are we at on the ordinance laws that we've been working on?
Those will come before the Animal Shelter Committee tomorrow night during our Zoom call, and we will distribute them if they are approved at the meeting tomorrow night to all commissioners and anyone else that wants them.
So the numbers, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Director Posada.
The numbers that I have for the county from the time frame that I had ran this for one of our meetings, the county was 1194, the city was 549, and that was just within a small period of time. So the county is substantially more. There's a whole lot more area to cover throughout the county. So I agree with Mr. Estes that the city is lower, and I believe, in my opinion, that they are paying their part for animal control due to the count numbers provided from 911.
Well, Chairman,
based on those numbers, it looks like what Shannon gave us is 31% for the city, 69% for the county.
Correct.
That's better.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you brief the committee on how this topic came about as far as with the sheriff's department and this bringing about switching the money and kind of how we got to here to this point?
So the animal shelter started getting phone calls about animal control. And once I called 911 to see what the issue was, I also called Mr. Lunsford and spoke with him about about animal control. And that's when I found out that we didn't have animal control officers. And that is due to losing corrections officers in the jail. They're having staffing issues, and I can tell you that I lost 2 very good employees. One was a single mom, and she went to a different job making substantially more money. So I can't judge anyone for bettering themselves with a higher paying job. But that has put our county, our shelter, 911, and the sheriff's department all in a bind because we're offering a service that we cannot provide an officer for. So the calls started coming into the shelter, and they were raising Cain with my front office manager, in which one day I thought she was going to get up and walk out. These people are not nice. By the time they call 911, and they get told to send an officer gets there and says, "I'm sorry, but I don't have an animal control officer." At this time, these people are irate. I've had them to bring the animals to the shelter, to leave them in the parking lot. I've had them tied to the gate out front with a leash. I have had them come in and pretty much barge through the gates and cuss my staff out for a service that we don't have, and they think that everybody should be, when they call, an officer should be there, an animal control officer. So there has been some issues. Some people have been bitten throughout the county. And as Dr. Acuff asked in our workshop meeting to Mr. Harden, does this put the county in a liability? And Mr. Harden can answer that question to everyone. But I believe the answer was yes, that puts the county at a liability on behalf of not having an animal control officer with an aggressive animal and someone gets bitten. Is that correct, Mr. Harden?
Yeah, sorry. There's no 100% way to answer a legal question. Usually the best legal answer you can get is possibly maybe. But yes, liability is possible. And that's what I said at the meeting. We're not required to have an animal shelter in the county. We're not required to have animal control officers. But if we're going to do it, we can't halfway do it. So, if you take on a duty you're not required to do, and you do it very bad, then you're bringing upon liability you wouldn't have if you didn't do it at all. So I don't think it can be halfway done as it's been done. It's either you have it or you don't have it. So yes, anytime someone is injured or there's action not taken that we could take, in reasonable operation of the service we're providing, then sure, someone can sue the city and sue the county, and ultimately, could prevail on something like that. So I guess that's as clear as I can make it.
Thank you, sir. Upon the numbers that we have talked about at our workshop, those are estimated numbers. There's no way for us to be able to tell exactly what those numbers are going to be. It's a whole lot easier for the sheriff's department to take their 4 or 5 employees and let them work 1 week that they're off per month. But when you put that position at the animal shelter to have 24-hour control, that's going to cost a whole lot. So those numbers we have thrown away around a couple of different ideas of a schedule for animal control. And still, there's going to have to be kinks that's going to be worked out. This is not set in stone. This is a guesstimate of the money. This is nothing in stone.
Mr. Burke, what was the total that's left coming out of the sheriff's department budget right now?
And there is, including salary and benefit, salary and taxes, $29,722.84.
Dr. Acuff, so if you add that to the 50,000, is that what you're looking to hire 2 people with?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Only hiring 2 people with roughly $80,000. Is that, or
What's to finish out the rest of the budget year?
Because I believe we set aside 37,000, didn't we, in the original budget?
Yes.
38.
38.
38.
Up to that, I guess.
And this would be starting in January and completing through the fiscal year, so about 6 months.
So you're probably not going to use the whole entire 80,000 in.
We certainly hope not, but we're just giving a good guesstimate of, are we going to have another vehicle if I have 2 animal control officers? Am I going to have another part-time? That's something that we're looking at whenever that you factor in a 7-day period of animal control, 40 hours a week, plus your holidays, which comes down to, I think there's 13 holidays and 3 election days. When you're running into overtime. So we tried to factor everything we could. We've got uniforms. We have to have an additional phone line at the shelter, cell phones for these people. And, they're going to have uniforms, tires on the truck, maintenance on the truck. So, I don't know. The sheriff's department may have already just put brand new tires on there. I don't know. So this was just a good guess at everything I could think of for animal control.
Do you know how much you're going to look for on the salaries as far as a flat salary?
Yes, I do. So I figured upon the average for animal control officers around the county, and I have called and talked to several different animal controls. So for full-time, I factored in at $12 an hour, $36,364.20. Part-time is $19,858.21. And I did speak with Mr. Burke about these numbers as well. I tried to figure in gas. So of course the gas will go up. I figured in about $40 per week. If we have 2 trucks, of course, that's going to double. We did speak with Mr. Parrish, and he said he would look through his fleet and he would see if they had a vehicle over there that could be offered for animal control. as well as the animal control truck there.
The average salary in the state of Tennessee is $32,370.
Okay, this is with benefits.
Okay.
So that's
The
including the
36
$7,200.
It is, sir, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so question, Chairman. So
Yes,
we're
sir.
moving 30,000 from the sheriff's budget, correct?
Yes.
But the amount that's factored in every year is 38, right?
I think that's correct.
Okay, and then we're requesting an additional 50, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so a total of 88. Well, if we're only doing for 6 months, do we not need to just give them the 25? Because when the physical year comes back around, they'll get the 50 then, right? Because if we're giving them 50,000 for 6 months now, then would it not be truthfully 100?
Mr. Burke?
I did work up those salaries. I was trying to find them on my computer here. That does include, the 50,000 does include non-payroll items. And of course, the medical insurance. Ms. Posada, do you have those figures in front of you?
The numbers that you gave me?
Yeah.
Yes, it was, the salary with benefits was $36,364.20 for a full-time at $12 per hour. And part-time was $19,858.21.
That'd be for the entire year, the 36 would be.
Yes. Those both are yearly numbers.
Right.
And that's per employee.
But what I'm saying is the numbers that we're based upon and using is per year. Then when the year rolls around, it'll start over again. So if we're already 6 months through the physical year, then we're allocating the full amount of money. Is that not correct, Director Burke?
I think I see what Austin's trying to say is he's wanting to go ahead and just figure 6 months worth of transfer, I guess. So 29,000 plus whatever it takes to get through June 30. Is that what you're asking, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to take $88,000 a year total operation, then if we're already 6 months in, it shouldn't take $88,000 for 6 more months. It should only take half of $88,000. Because if not, then they can't operate a full year on $88,000.
It looks like it'll be right around $48,000 for half a year.
Is that 2 full-time employees?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so the remainder of the money is going for uniforms, for an extra phone line for gas and maintenance, workers' comp, uniforms. We have to have logs, and we have to have door knockers for animal control.
We go down there and go work.
How much is all that total, Shannon?
I had just figured in, okay, so this is just not even figuring in the extra gas for, this is depending upon, are we running 2 trucks? Are we running 1 truck? I don't know at this time. So this is going to figure in about $64,000.
So we're looking at a total. We're looking at a total change. Sorry.
I was gonna say, if you have to buy a second truck, though, that's what you're going to need another $20,000 for.
Sure.
So you're saying basically,
if you have 2 trucks, you have extra maintenance, you have extra gas. This was just a figure that we had spoke about at the workshop the other night. Tomorrow night we have an animal shelter board meeting, and so we was going to determine, nail down exactly what we needed, and get the numbers fine-tuned in. But looking at it at the 6 months, it's going to cost us more in the first 6 months, simply because we have to have uniforms, we have to have extra cell phone. This is stuff that the sheriff department already has, but this is stuff when you move the animal control officer over to the shelter, we don't have this stuff.
so you're saying 44,000 in salaries will get 6 months worth, And if we give you 55,000 total, I'd give you 11,000 to buy all your supplies and stuff. And then if you needed maybe an additional 25,000 for a vehicle, could you come back to that? Come back to us for that?
So we talked about coming back and asking for more money before. But you know, if the city's going to give some money in, I talked to Mr. Burke about this. We're going to transfer money over from the animal control officer. Why not put the money all in an animal control fund? What's not used from that fund this year, put it in a reserve, knock that dollar amount off from the next year's budget, and it's still going in the same line item. It's still going towards animal control, but maybe it's not going to cost that much. Then nobody would have to come back and ask for more money. It would just roll over into the next fiscal year.
And I just want to say on Shannon's behalf, there's way too many unknowns for us to not allocate a little bit on the higher end. If not, she's going to be coming back to budget committee consistently with all the unknown factors of all the purchases that are going to have to be made for this service.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Frazier, I cut you off a minute ago. You have the floor.
That's okay. I apologize. It's lag time. So we're actually looking at about 120,000 a year for the 2 employees, vehicles, cell phones, uniforms, door knockers, logs, everything all in, all done. So we're looking at about what, 1.5 cents on the tax rate.
Now, Mr. Parrish did tell me that he did not think that we could run animal control on 2 officers. He suggested putting 2 part-time in there. And for the reason being, he explained this at the workshop, you're going to have 2 officers and they're going to do great for 2 months. But with the calls at 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and the phone ringing all times of the day and night, they're going to burn out real quick. And once they burn out, we're going to be replacing and training new animal control officers. So he suggested before that we get to the burnout, it's easier just to give them a break and give them a part-time position in there before they burn out. And I totally agree. I did animal control with Mr. Freddie for many months, and especially the times that we're in now, they will still go through 911. But once you arrive at some of these residents, it's not a pretty sight out there. And at 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, not everybody is as happy as you are when you arrive. So, you know, it's not an easy job. It's not a secure job. It's not a safe job out there. And you can ask any of the law enforcement that go out there before the animal control gets there. So, you know, it's something that when we train an officer, we want to make sure we keep that officer.
Shannon, what kind of cats do you have right now?
I'm sorry?
How many dogs and cats are you holding right now?
So we have about 32 dogs right now. And
How many can you hold?
How many can we hold? At one point in time when we had cruelties, we had about 80 dogs there.
And that's full capacity.
That is over capacity.
Okay, what do you do then?
So that's when that we put crates out that we don't like to do. And that's when that we put them in the back lots. We had 19 from one cruelty case at one time, 19 dogs from one case. So that put us way over capacity. Right on top of that, we had a man that passed away and we got 8 of his dogs. And that's what threw us way over the line. But we worked through those real quick. We have wonderful people in Carter County that help us foster rescues. We reach out to rescues. So our ideal capacity is around 30 dogs. We can drop the guillotine doors. What makes 1 run, we can make 2 runs out of it. So we make space when we have to make space.
Thank you.
And how are you making progress on getting a vet on staff and that sort of stuff?
So we have a vet on staff. Dr. Ashley Eisenbach, she is a shelter veterinarian. She does make her rounds through. She is available just about any time we call her. If there's emergency, she comes in. She is limited to her services there due to x-rays and, different emergency situations. So we handle what we can handle at the shelter. If it needs to go to a vet, it's an emergency situation, we definitely send it out.
Chair?
Yes, sir, Director Burke.
I need to make a correction on the amount I gave you for the full and part-time salaries. Instead of 48,000 for 6 months, it would be 56,222 for 2 part-time and 2 full-time.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? I'll repeat the motion. The motion by Mr.
Chairman, I had one more question.
Go ahead,
Brad,
Mr.
you
James.
said salaries was 56 and some change for 6 months, correct?
Correct.
So what is the total request that's needed to be able to make that? Because I mean, apparently she's got maintenance issues and everything factored in. So what's the total amount?
I don't know what the non-payroll would be. That's why I deferred to Shannon a while ago.
So, and like I said, we're just giving a good estimate. We're looking at $64,000 to $65,000. If there's 2 trucks, of course, the gas is going to go up. Maintenance on the vehicle, tires on the vehicle. So we're right at 65,000.
And that's non-payroll, correct?
That's with pay. That's including payroll, maintenance, cell phones, uniforms, everything that we could think of as far as staffing an animal control officer.
But part of it was left off in the fact that you're also going to need at least 2 part-time individuals as well, which is another, 40,000 a year.
Yeah, where I'm getting lost at is Brad's telling us it's 56,000 and some change for 2 to get us through 6 months. So that's $112,000 just in salary line items. And then you've got non-salary. So even, if you do 65, that's 130. So that's leaving $18,000 for other expenses. Is that going to be enough to cover other expenses, or?
See, this is something I don't know. When Freddie had animal control at the city, it was totally ran different. I can't give you a dollar amount. I'm giving you a guess. And here's what I'm offering to do. I'm offering to start out with 2 full-time employees. If we need a part-time employee, then we will seek a part-time employee before that my full-times get burned out. I don't want to go and hire 2 full-time and 2 part-time right off the bat, because if I can save the taxpayers some money and I can make it work on 2 full-times, or I can make it work on 2 full-times and a part-time, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use that money just because it's sitting there. I'm going to use the taxpayers' money wisely. I don't know the schedule. We're work in progress on a schedule. Can we get one 7 to 3 and one 9 to 5 and pay out the emergencies? That may work fine. Then again, that may not work at all. We may have more calls at night than what we do during the day. This is a trial and error. And this is why we'll just have to work the kinks out as we go.
Brad, do you have data from the past that showed what the city offset for the animal control when Freddie was here?
Hang on a second.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the city paid half and the county paid half of Freddie's salary.
Chairman Hill?
Yes, sir, Mr. Tester.
I believe that Freddie's salary was paid by the city entirely, because he was responsible for that per the contract that they agreed on when they entered into this agreement. And then it was supposed to be, I think it was termed a joint agreement from that point on. And that was the latest contract that was signed. I think it was 2013 or something like that. I can't remember, but I believe the city was responsible for the animal control agent under the original agreement.
It was, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Burke.
Mr. Tester, it was, as I recall, it was, the salary was included in the year-end calculation to see who owed, county owed the city, or city owed the county. And, hang on, never mind. See if I can find where we got the contribution from the county and from the city.
For some reason, I feel like they just offset the salary out of what they were contributing to the county.
It was. I don't have that much detail on my worksheet as far as how much the city contributed previously.
Is there any more discussion? Okay, the motion was to move the animal control animal control budget from the sheriff's department to the animal shelter, which is roughly $29,722, and asking for an additional $50,000. Is that correct, Ms. Woodby?
Yes.
All right, we'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Pass.
Mr. Von Cannon passes. Mr. James.
No.
Mr. James, no. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
No.
Mr. Frazier's a no. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey's yes. Mr. Von Cannon, do you want to vote?
I pass again.
Okay. That's an abstain.
Or change to a no.
Mr. Von Cannon is a no. That's 5 yeses, 3 noes. Motion passed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank everybody for considering moving animal control back to the animal shelter. And on behalf of my staff, I want to thank you all for considering the hard work of our county employees and the bonuses that you all are trying to get passed to the county. I think it means a lot to our county employees for their hard work, and not only in my office, but I do appreciate all of our county workers and their hard work. So thank you all.
Thank you, Director Passat. Next item on the agenda is discussion regarding pay increase for maintenance personnel, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Woodby.
Thank you, Chairman Hill. I feel like I've done a lot of talking tonight. Okay, we supplied everybody in their packet. If everybody would look, I have one of our maintenance guys, Roy, that I would like to request a salary increase for. He's been with Ron, which is our main maintenance guy. We brought both of them from the Workforce Development Complex. They were there 10 years, and they've been together 10 years and been with the county right at a year, I think, this month. So I would like to ask the committee to entertain a salary increase for him. These guys do a phenomenal job. I submitted a Norwell vendor sheet just to kind of show you what we paid Norwell out without these two maintenance guys. From May of 2018 to June of 2019, we've paid $53,000. We put Roy and Ron on the payroll, let's see, November 20th, and if you'll just look at the vendor sheet for November 27th up through May, we've only spent $9,000. And I can tell you from what I've seen here the past 2 months, these guys can fix anything. And they are an asset to this county. That's you can look at these sheets and see that they're an asset. They have been able to fix anything that I have asked, and Ross is on here. He knows that he's been going back and forth with Ron on the lights. They installed an outlet today over here that was probably going to cost us $1,200 to $1,500, $700 today for the Christmas tree lights to be lit with, and it's permanent, so we won't even have to mess with that again. They have fixed the boiler. I can't even begin to tell you what these guys have done. I mean, it's been absolutely amazing. And I really, really hate to lose Roy. He's a partner with Ron. They work together on time, all the time, never had an issue. I mean, they have been just top notch. And I would like for the committee to entertain a salary increase to be able to keep Roy here with us. I think they are saving us money in the long run. If we lose him, I feel that we may not find anybody to compliment Ron as much as they do. They're a team, and they work well together. They've been together 10 years, and they have been Johnny on the spot. I'm very impressed with everything they do. I mean, they go to Lowe's, they pick up all the materials, they fix. And if any of you guys can get time to come by here and look at Drew Laporte's door, the half door that they made, it's phenomenal. We have got people requesting these doors all over the county. So for the COVID, and they just used an old door from the workforce development, cut it in half, varnished it. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I couldn't even believe it. It's you guys really need to come take a look at some of the stuff they're doing. I mean, I can't talk about them enough. I'm very impressed. So I'd really like to help Roy.
Mayor Woodby, if you don't care, give us a rundown of their current salaries and what you think the difference ought to be.
Well, and Ron's not requested. It's nothing for Ron. This is for Roy, and he's currently making 30,000, and I would like to request 33,000.
Make a motion that we set a salary at 33,000.
Second.
What? Okay, well. Well, I guess we'll have whatever we'll enter discussion. What is how much?
You're breaking up, Austin.
You're breaking up, Austin.
I said, how much is Ron's salary?
Ron is 43.5, I think. Brad, do you see that right off?
That's correct.
43.5.
So does he make 30,000 with benefits, or does he make 30,000? Is that his base pay?
Just his salary portion.
That's his what? I can't hear you.
Salary portion. That's just a salary portion.
That's just salary.
Okay.
I mean, if the committee wants to entertain more, I mean, that was bottom dollar that I was trying to think to help him. But I mean, these guys are a true asset, but you can look at the Norwell vendor sheet. 53,000 to Norwell in 1 year, and in 6 months, we've only paid 9,000. That's a testament that they're fixing stuff.
Commissioner Frazier.
Yeah, I'll amend that. Mr. James, what were you thinking?
Let's do 5,000.
I think I could agree to that. 35,000, and I'll amend my motion with Mr. James' friendly amendment.
I'll second.
So we have motion by Mr. Frazier, second by Mr. Campbell, with a friendly amendment to move it to $35,000, which is a $5,000 increase. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed.
Thank you, everyone.
See if I can get me one.
But I'm not kidding. You guys really need to come by here and look at the door that they made for Drew's office. It's amazing.
Next item on the agenda is review for approval of disposition via gov deals of excess property. Director Burke.
What we have here, we have one computer, keyboard and mouse, and several chairs. We're just asking for your approval. There are pictures of the chairs and a listing of them in your packet. Just asking for your approval to dispose of these county assets.
Put that in form of a motion.
1 second, dispose or sell on gov deals?
Sell on gov deals.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. James, second by Mr. Frazier to allow these to be sold on gov deals. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby?
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James?
Yes.
James, yes. Mr. Garland?
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill is a yes. Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier's a yes. Ms. McCamey?
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed. Next item is review proposal from Financial Management Committee regarding capital asset module on Skyward. Director Burke.
Thank you. We have a requesting funds to purchase a capital assets package for accounting system Skyward. We currently, the capital assets are being maintained on Excel workbook, worksheets. And at the end of the year, it takes a significant amount of time to update these records. And since it's an Excel worksheet, errors do occur. And another issue is the auditors take this workbook and they will make changes and then not be able to tell us what they changed and why. So we're just kind of chasing our tail in that regards. But the initial cost, this includes the package, training, and the full annual fee is $10,581, but the recurring cost after this initial year will be $1,647 for that package. And this will be fully automated at the time the bills are paid for the vehicles, equipment, what have you. Capital assets, meaning anything over $25,000. It will automatically be uploaded or posted to this capital assets program. And this program will run all the reports that are needed, the balances and the changes, and can be run at any point during the year.
And I believe Director Burke from Financial Management, you would want to take this from the governor's local government support grant.
That's correct. I forgot.
Make a motion that we set aside the $10,581 from the governor's support grant.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Frazier, second by Ms. Woodby to purchase the Skyward package for $10,581 coming from the governor's support grant. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby?
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland?
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey?
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed.
Thank you very much, committee.
Next on the agenda is discussion regarding EMA request for Holston Mountain radio equipment. Approximate cost $33,000. Director Smith.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. As many of you may recall, when we were discussing the potential for radio upgrade, I pointed out the extreme deficiencies that we have within our particular radio frequencies. Our current repeater is located there in the courthouse, and it pretty much limits our range to the city of Elizabeth. And we can go a little bit out in various areas, but it's very small. So in the past couple of years, I've been working with High Country Communications. We have a site actually located on Holston Mountain. It's just been inactive for years. And we ran into a problem trying to find frequencies that the FCC would actually approve for us to use from that site so that they don't interfere with surrounding jurisdictions. You will notice if you got the package I sent to you earlier today, we have actually gotten approval now for frequencies to operate from that site. And with that in mind, I would like to request approximately $33,796 to upgrade the tower, do the maintenance that needs to be done, replace the antenna and cabling. We would have to install, obviously, a new repeater up there because the one that's there is not even operational. And then we also would need a generator with automatic transfer switch for backup power supply. This will increase our range throughout the bulk of the county based on the models that High Country provided us.
What was the total again, Gary?
33,796. There's a couple of things that were estimated there. The installation on the generator, I don't know for sure. I estimated about $1,000 for that. And then to bring the propane tank up and fill it, I figured about 800 for there, but I couldn't get firm numbers. I made calls, but did not get return calls from those agencies.
Those sound like good numbers on both of those.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure we're under discussion yet. Nobody's made a motion.
I make a motion that we approve this number.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. James, second by Mr. Campbell. That is for 33,796, Mr. James?
That's correct.
Okay, discussion's now open. Mr. Von Cannon.
Since this is apparently only for the EMA, where does the sheriff's department and the rescue squad fit into this picture based on coverage?
They're on different
Because I'm told you've got dead spots all over the place for the sheriff's department. And if you're going to do something like this, you probably ought to consolidate all three of these entities together to make sure that you get a good coverage. But this won't, this $33,000 doesn't seem like it would be very much for that kind of an effort. And Holston Mountain is the right place as far as coverage.
Yes, sir. This is totally separate from the sheriff's department. Anything, you know, they have multiple sites. As it stands right now, we only have the repeater located in the courthouse. So when we have a major incident, we have to either use sheriff's department frequencies, volunteer fire frequencies, or highway department. And as you know, when you have a major incident, everybody's having to talk on their own frequencies. So it's adding congestion and causing delays as far as getting information passed back and forth. And that's one of the reasons why we've been working to get this site active.
Is this funded through the governor's grant as well?
That is certainly an option. I was going to leave that to this commission or this committee.
I'm not sure we have enough to cover. We could probably wipe it out and use most of it.
It looks like you've got 50, 60. Yeah, you're right. You've almost zeroed out.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Burke.
How much is left, Brad?
In the governor's grant, there is 11,733.45.
You're out.
So if you wanted to use the rest of that, you'd need $22,062.55. Is that right, Brad?
It is.
That would come out of unassigned fund balance?
I think you said yes, Travis, but it cut off on
Okay, I was just waiting for whoever, the motion and the second's on the floor to spend it. We just need to know where it's going to come from.
Unassigned fund balance would be the only place we take them from, other than the CARES grant.
I mean, do they want to wipe out the governor's money first and then use the rest out of unassigned?
Austin?
Sure, let's do that.
So then the governor's balance, the governor's grant's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That takes care of that.
That grant came to the right committee. Right, Austin?
That's right.
Let me repeat this back. So now we're going to take $11,733.45 from the governor support grant, which will finish that off. Then we're going to take $22,062.55 from unassigned fund balance. Does that sound right, Brad?
It does.
Is that good, Mr. James and Mr. Campbell?
Yeah.
That sounds extremely perfect. Now that we've got this depleted, we can quit having requests. And talking about me like being the money spender, I'd like to say a lot of this request of money is under the direction of Mayor Woodby's.
Hey, that's what mayors are supposed to do.
Is there any more discussion from anybody? All right, we'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill's a yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses, motion passed.
Thank you all. I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you, Director Smith. Next item is Circuit Court copier lease. And I'm not sure who's going to handle that. Ms. Woodby or Brad?
Chairman.
Yes, Mr. James.
Can I put that in the form of motion that we approve it?
Sure.
A motion by Mr. James to approve the copier lease.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCamey. Any discussion?
I'm just trying to find the lease in the packet. Bear with me.
I thought we had it already.
This is Circuit Court, not.
Okay.
It came out today.
What page is it on, Brad?
It came out today separately.
Yeah, I'll try to send it out separately.
That's why I can't find it.
I'd just like to also add that this is also Miss Woodby's previous stomping grounds that's needing money, so it's a waterfall effect here.
Yes.
I just want to see the dollar total, guys. Sorry. And when you've got 27 PDFs open, it doesn't want to open another one.
I believe it's around 3 something a month. Does that sound correct, Brian?
That's
$367.83 for
Yeah,
a 40-month equipment lease. And that's combined for both copiers.
And it's an additional charge on that for the maintenance, correct? That's just the copiers.
correct. And he has it in his budget to pay that.
So is that higher or lower than what it's previously been?
Huh?
Is that higher or lower than it's previously been?
It's the same company that we kept the
Okay.
same company that we've always been with.
Okay, thank you.
So all we're doing is approving the lease. He already has the funds available.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Sounds even more terrific.
Oh, McCamey already did. Never mind.
Any further discussion? We'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed. Last item under new business is Finance Department update. Director Burke.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with the appropriation of unassigned fund balance, general fund, unassigned fund balance. Everybody there?
Pages in.
I'm sorry, my pages aren't numbered. I can't tell you.
There.
Oh, page 37, Willie.
What page?
37 and 38.
Okay, this shows how much has been appropriated out of unassigned fund balance prior to tonight. As you can see, there's been a total of $1,041,274.48 before tonight's action.
Sorry.
And the bulk of that, of course, is the $600,000 set aside for the broadband, and the $402,000 for the baler for the recycling center. Any questions on that? And the next one will be the CARES Act funding. It shows how much we got initially and how much has been spent before tonight. And what was spent tonight was $394,674.06, which leaves a total of $262,194.02. Any questions on that? Okay, next is the governor's local government support grant. Prior to tonight, there was $22,314.45, and that amount has been appropriated tonight, which leaves a zero balance. Any questions on that one? Okay, that's all I have.
Looks good, Director Burke. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we'll move on to budget amendments. We'll start with General Fund 101, Director Burke.
Okay. This is General Fund Budget Amendment number 5. Item number 1, appropriate grant funds from the Office of Criminal Justice Program to purchase law enforcement equipment, a bulletproof vest. 2, appropriate insurance recovery to repair vehicle 49. 3, appropriate insurance recovery to repair vehicle 108. 4, appropriate reimbursement from the state of Tennessee for inmate medical records. 5, appropriate security reserve to pay the final payment for the RMS-JMS system. 6, reallocate within the jail budget to purchase toner. 7, reallocate funds from building and grounds budget to the mayor's budget for the copy machine. That amendment was approved month before last, I believe. It's put in the wrong account number. Number 8, reallocate funds within building and grounds budget to program 065 courthouse security project. Number 9, appropriate community development block grant funds for emergency operations center. This is current year change orders. Number 10, reallocate funds within election commission budget. 11, appropriate circuit sessions court restricted funds for a new server and installation. Budget amendment was approved in March 2020, but server was not obtained and installed until September 2020. 12, appropriate circuit sessions court restricted funds for additional costs related to server noted in budget amendment number 11 above. 13, reallocate for contributions to HSA accounts in the juvenile services category. 14, reallocate safety grant within other emergency management grant funds. 15, appropriate unassigned fund balance for refund of property taxes to Lowe's, which resulted from an appeal that was granted. 16, appropriate funds restricted for a back door in the clerk and master's office. That was appropriated the prior year and carried over. Number 17, appropriate restricted funds for data processing for the county clerk and circuit court clerk for installation costs associated with payment kiosk. Total amendments 190,803.40, 88,664.22 from fund balance, 7,500 from unassigned fund balance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Brad, I've just got a question. I got a question about one. It's probably small, but line item number 6 on the moving money from the food preparation supplies to data processing supplies. What's going on? I was thinking that they asked for an increase in that line during the budget process.
This line item is not. There's a food supplies line item.
Okay.
This is separate.
Okay.
Different line item.
I was just trying to make sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Brad, I had the same question on number 6 as well. We last month we moved $2,500 to purchase toner. This month we're moving $1,500. Because I know last month was the sheriff's department budget. This one's the jail budget. Why are we running out of money in toner this early in the year?
Okay. Actually, there was nothing previously budgeted in 411 data processing supplies.
Okay.
They were in other supplies and materials, and some of them were in office supplies, I believe, or something.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, so that's how I know you're trying to make the line items separated out, Brad, where like toner and anything like that comes out of that. Okay, I remember you done
How about the refund for Lowe's on the property tax? What's that about, Brad?
Okay, they appealed their appraisal for it was 4 years, I believe. They won that appeal, so
Yeah.
their appraisals for those years were lowered. Therefore, they'd already paid their property taxes, so we just had to issue them a check for the difference. For their
Okay.
appraisal.
I'll make a motion we approve if we haven't done that.
We've got a motion by Mr. Frazier, second by Mr. Campbell.
Okay.
Yeah. Any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. Motion passes. 8 ayes.
Next, we have Solid Waste Sanitation Fund. This is budget amendment number 1. Item number 1, appropriate insurance recovery for repairs to the gate and fence at Little Milligan Convenience Center. 2, to reallocate within Convenience Center category. 3, reallocate for contributions to HSA accounts for the Recycling Center category. 4, reallocate within landfill operation category. 5, reallocate within landfill operation category 2. Total amendments of $21,255.56. Nothing from fund balance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Frazier, second by Mr. Garland, approving solid waste budget amendment number 1. Any discussion?
What was the deal on number 1 on the maintenance, on the repair service on the building?
There was some damage done to the gate and the fence up at Little Milligan Convenience Center. The insurance recovery came in. It needs to be appropriated for those repairs.
Okay, thank you.
Brad, while you're in insurance recovery, did the fire at the recycling center, was that ever totally resolved as far as insurance recovery?
As far as I know, yes. The last payment that came in was for the asbestos removal.
I think that was the last item, yeah.
Any further discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed.
Next, we have Drug Control Fund. This is budget amendment number 1. There's one item. Reallocate for payment to Tennessee Public Safety Network. Total of $500, nothing from fund balance.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Garland.
Second. Aaron Frazier.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Any further discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed.
Next, we have General Debt Service Fund, budget amendment number 1. One item, appropriate unassigned fund balance for refund of property taxes to Lowe's resulting from an appeal that was granted. Total of $2,300 and $2,300 from unassigned fund balance of the General Debt Service Fund.
So this is an additional 2,300, Brad, in addition to the 7,500?
Each fund that is on the tax rate, which would be the general fund, general debt service, highway fund, and general purpose schools, had to repay their portion for this appeal.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Frazier,
Second.
second by Mr. Campbell. Any further discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed.
Have general purpose school fund. This is budget amendment number 4. Item number 1, reallocate within general purpose school fund special education program. 2, recognize initial budget for Carter Cares after school program. 3, reallocate within Carter Cares after school program. 4, reallocate within regular instruction program, which was originally appropriated for the online academy. The online program that was attained was at a much lower cost and had been budgeted. So the increase in payroll and benefits is to compensate classroom teachers who are performing additional duties, meaning teaching online classes. Number 5, reallocate within CARES Act funds to the correct account number. Total amendments, 328, 434.81. From fund balance, 79,651.24. Nothing from unassigned fund balance.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Woodby,
Second, Aaron Frazier.
second by Mr. Frazier. Any discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
You're muted, Austin.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed.
I mentioned a minute or two ago that the refunds for that property tax appeal will also be coming from general purpose school fund and the highway fund. Those amendments will be presented to you next month. Our last budget amendment is school federal projects fund. Budget amendment number 4. One item to appropriate carryover for Title IX McKinney-Vento grant. Total of $10,979.81, nothing from fund balance.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Garland,
Second.
second by Mr. Frazier. Any discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed.
Okay, we have the donation listings. First is the monetary donations. Total to the animal shelter is $1,770. Total to the school department is $1,800. Total donations for October, $3,570.
Motion
We have
to
a motion.
approve.
Motion by Mr. Garland,
Second.
second by Mr. Campbell. Any discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. Motion passed, 8 yeses.
Last donations are non-monetary donations from Walmart. The amount for October is approximately $830.58.
Motion to approve.
By Mr. Frazier.
Second.
Second by Mr. Garland. Any discussion? Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby.
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey.
Yes.
Ms. McCamey, yes. 8 yeses. Motion passed. That pretty much wraps it up for the budget committee. Anybody have any comments before we adjourn the budget committee?
Let me say, try to do this governor's money that it was sent out, I'd like to say, just on my behalf and I hope on every commissioner's behalf, I think we did a well job, spending this money in the right way. I hope, satisfied and happy with it.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr. Von Cannon.
I'd like to make a couple statements about 2 or 3 things. With $9 million sitting in fund balance or thereabouts, earning nothing practically, you've got to get this business of an investment group together and start investing out of the county. Of course, the banks are going to queue you over it because that's where they've existed. However, reality is that it saves the taxpayer money in the long run. The other thing is, I was thinking about constables being underutilized or non-utilized or whatever. They want to be utilized. Instead of having an SRO officer at every school, I would have a constable there and only work him during school season. Therefore, saving couple, 3 months in the summer. The other thing is the dog situation. This is killing us. We're spending more money on a dog than we are on a kid in school. Per dog, per cat. Wrong. Very definitely wrong. Although I love my border collie, he talks to me. My wife, how that goes. But anyway, a 501c is your answer in the long run. And the sooner you get on that, the better you're going to be off, because that is the right way to go. You can do fundraising, but you can't do now. You can't do fundraising the way it's set up now. I know that's not going to be popular, but then again, there's a lot of things aren't. But somewhere along the way, we've got to start saving the taxpayer some money. Believe me, look at the data at this county. The population is aging so rapidly that there's going to be a point when nobody's left except a few people that are still on Social Security, fixed incomes, and we're going to be in trouble. I think that the city ought to also, some formulation ought to be worked up on calls, and I know that's difficult, but somewhere along the way, I think they're getting a bargain from the landfill and the recycling world. I'm talking about you're getting a bargain, and because you're in the city, I can assure you I got numbers on that one. The other thing is they need to be paying a little more on the animal control situation. That's it.
Anyone else?
Chairman, if I might.
Yes, sir, Mr. James.
I've heard multiple over this and multiple people and so this is probably going to be unpopular, but just so we can get our information out there and figure out what we can do, I'd like to put it in the form of a motion that we send it to financial management to look in to see if there is any way that we can help transition with possibly the same funding to move the animal shelter to a 501 C3. Let them do a research and homework and come back to the commission and see if it's even possible. It may not, but let's just put all the options out there so we can get this behind us if it ain't able to work for us.
I'll second that.
Well, motion by Mr. James, second by Mr. Frazier to send to financial management to look into moving the animal shelter to a 501c3.
And you do that by going to other people that are doing it. Simple as that.
Well, I'd like to say, Mr. Von Cannon, we are fortunate that Miss Holdren is over the financial management, and she does excellent at researching her stuff. So I'm sure she will put in the time to get us answers.
Any more discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Miss Woodby.
Yes.
Miss Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland.
Yes.
Mr. Garland, yes. Mr. Hill, yes. Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Miss McCamey.
Yes.
Miss McCamey, yes. Motion passed, 8 yeses. Any more comments from the committee?
Let me say one more thing. I said to all the commissioners, we spent this money. I didn't mean to leave out, the mayor and the department heads. They all should be happy and satisfied with the job well done to me.
The mayor definitely spent some.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for hanging in there 3 hours tonight, all the people on YouTube watching us and all the other commissioners and directors who've stayed with us. But other than that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
And we're not done after this. We've still got nominating.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Who's just nominating?
Hang around for nominating.
I always had to do that too. Everybody get up and leave.
It's going to be short. Okay, we'll see. Hopefully. All right. Get my agenda pulled up. I'll go ahead and call nominating to order. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Willie? Ms. Woodby?
Yes.
It's a yes by Ms. Woodby, a yes by Mr. Campbell. Mr. Von Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Garland?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier, yes. Ms. McCamey?
Yes.
All right, need a motion to approve the minutes from the October 12th, 2020 meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. James, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second by Ms. Woodby. Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, yes. Ms. Woodby?
Yes.
Ms. Woodby, yes. Mr. Von Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Von Cannon, yes. Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. James, yes. Mr. Garland?
What? I didn't get a copy, I don't think. Was on that agenda or did I miss it or what?
1 second. I don't know if they got forwarded back to me either. Oh my God.
I'm going to abstain myself.
Good looking out, Ross. I don't think any of us got one.
I don't think I got one either. All right, we'll hold off on that and we'll take it up next month.
Yeah.
All right. Main thing that we've got on discussion tonight is, as soon as I can get it pulled back up, the audit committee has an opening. And general consensus, and I think this was also spoken about by Mr. Harden, is for the audit committee to pick up a member of the actual commission rather than just being the way it currently stands. I'm trying to pull up Abby's email because it had a great deal of detail for it. And currently we could post it and anybody could apply, but I wanted to get everyone's opinions on actually this particular seat being restricted to someone from the commission.
I mean, are you asking us if it needs to be restricted or is it currently restricted?
That's what the discussion is regarding, because I've not requested that the position be posted yet. Because I did want it to bring it to you guys and see if we did, and I also need to ask Attorney Harden, can we specifically just elicit nominations from the commission for this board?
I'm not sure he's still on, Aaron.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd spoken with him. Oh, okay. I'd spoken with him for regarding it, and he said that it could be filled by basically anyone, and it including commissioners. So if we want to,
who makes the board up currently? What's the demographics of it now?
It's everyone that is currently on the audit committee is not on the commission. Everyone is from the public at large.
Then I say if we can restrict it to commissioners, let's restrict it and do it to commissioners.
Well, no, just this one particular one. That way that there's
that's what I mean.
Back and forth.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Chairman Frazier.
Yes, ma'am.
I think if we do it for a commissioner, it needs to be a commissioner possibly that's on financial management, due to the fact that that committee and financial management interact. That's who they interact. They interact with each other. That's my opinion on it. I think it should be a commissioner that's on financial management. They only meet twice a year,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just what I think. I think it should be a commissioner that's currently on financial management.
I got to agree with Mayor Woodby on that. I was thinking the same thing.
Chairman Frazier?
Yes, ma'am.
Just to kind of reiterate that Mayor Woodby brought up, when we had the audit committee meeting earlier this year, our main auditor, Marie Tidwell, said that there are several counties that do have commissioners on there, and she thought it would be a good recommendation to have a member of the financial management committee on the audit committee just for the interaction back and forth.
Thank you, Ms. Fry. I cannot locate your email for some reason. That's what I've been sitting here digging around for, because I know you'd put all that in the email.
I'll look and see if I can pull it up.
So you're going to make that in the form of a motion, Ms. Woodby?
Yes, I will.
I'll second.
Motion and second by Miss Patty Woodby and Mr. Garland to restrict the current audit opening to a commissioner on the financial management committee. And I'll call the roll. Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Woodby?
Yes.
That's yes from Mr. Campbell, yes from Ms. Woodby. Mr. Von Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Garland?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier? Yes. Ms. McCamey?
Yes.
All right, that's all ayes. I will send out the application to the members of financial management. So this can be filled. As Patty said, it only meets at the same time as the audit findings come in for the budget year. So I think they only meet like once or twice a year. So we've got time to get it filled. All right, that is all I have.
Mr. Chairman, was Ray Lyons replaced, or was he on the planning commission?
Yes.
He has been replaced?
I don't know if he has been replaced
because you've got to watch that bunch, because they had one guy on there for a year that shouldn't have been.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
I'm sorry.
Chairman, If I might, Mr. Lyons was on there as the chair of the. Mr. Lyons was on there as the chair of the full commission, and since Mr. Hill is the acting chair, he would be the sit-in if I am correct.
You are correct.
What did he say? Yes.
The chairman, Ray Lyons, was on there because he was the chairman of the commission, and that was where his seat came from. So it would normally be Patty, but where she's filling in for the mayor, it goes on Mr. Hill.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Frazier.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Von Cannon made a statement there. I'd like to hear that person's name, please.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it Mr. Arnie? Because we didn't know the specific time of when he had came on.
That's right.
And that supposedly, but it was, anyways, it doesn't matter. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was.
Chairman, will you entertain a motion to adjourn?
Hold on a second.
Go ahead, Mr. Hill.
I just want to, I mean, I didn't mention under budget, but Mr. McInturf, our newly elected commissioner out of the 7th district, has been on with us all night. So he's hung in there like a trooper, getting prepared for next Monday if he gets certified by then. So,
Mr. McInturf, if I might, welcome to the bloodbath.
Thank you all.
Keep your head down and keep your helmet on.
And I'd like to make a statement. Commissioner James, the audit committee, if you're interested, they don't get to spend money. So it might not be a good spot. Just saying.
Mr. Hill is terrific at auditing and numbers. I don't think he has much to do for right now.
Also, let me say this. Susie mentioned when I talked to her, any materials that were sent in late or whatever, just I guess the chairmans need to get those either to Brad or any kind of documents that need to come out in the minutes next month. And the roll, of course, to the clerk's office.
And also, I'll send out an email to the full body, but anybody who has anything for budget, if you can get it to me the Wednesday, or get it to Michael Kennedy the Wednesday before we meet at the latest, so he can get it on. Apparently, the auditors are kind of getting on us for doing all these motions on the floor, and there's really not a paper trail as far as the agenda set. So if we can get, that's why it was so long tonight, is because we got them all on there. So if y'all don't care to get those to Michael in advance, I'd appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everybody. It was a good meeting. Very good.